This is episode 6 of the Pseudocode series, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about literals. So, literals are basically a value that is used as is. That's the best way to define a literal, as it were. So, a literal is like, for instance, you remember that from the previous episode, we were looking at the atomic types, right? So, we're looking at the atomic types integer. Then we looked at other atomic types like real. We also talked about a character. We also talked about a string. We also talked about a boolean. Then there's also date. So whenever you're writing in programs, you realize that sometimes you are not going to be using values that are stored inside of variables, but essentially are going to actually use actual values as they are, right? Like, for instance, let's say you want to multiply a variable, or rather you just want to multiply two numbers that you're just going to use in one place in your program. So let's say you want to multiply 78 times 2. So in this particular instance, what you've done is you've used two integer literals, as it were, right? Because essentially the number 78 is not being used, is not stored inside of a variable anyway, but it's just being used as it is. So in this particular instance, we are multiplying two integer literals, as it were. Then you can also use literals for any other data type. So you can have a literal for real, you can have a literal for character, you can have a literal for string, for boolean, and for date as well. So the important thing to realize between characters and strings is that the distinction that we make between characters and strings is to always make sure that we surround characters in single quotes, then strings in double quotes, so that there's that distinction right there. But otherwise, literals, you just pick any value that conforms to any of these types, and that in itself is a literal. And you can always make use of literals in your programs, particularly if you're going to be making use of those literals in just one place. So declaring a variable for that to hold that particular value would be a waste of time, as well as a waste of memory, as it were. So you might as well just use the value as it is. So in that case, you would say that you've used a literal, as it were. So yeah, that's just about it for this episode. I'll see you in the next one.